Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idris. On Tidbits tonight, Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states have taken the federal government to the Supreme Court to challenge the planned stoppage of issuing the redesigned NAIRA notes by February 10, 2023. The states are seeking an order from the Apex Court to actually stop the federal government and CBN from stopping the policy. There has been a shortage of the new notes in the states, making it difficult for citizens to access the new currency to carry out their daily activities. The Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, is the sole respondent in the case, which was filed by the 3 state governors. While no hearing date has been set yet, the states are asking for an interim injunction to actually stop commercial banks, the CBN, all their agents from ending the time frame within which to stop issuing the old and new NAIRA notes. And still on tidbits, amid difficulties occasioned by NAIRA scarcity, some Nigerians stage a solidarity walk in Abuja and other places. Take a look.
Chaotic situations like these are all over the country, with people struggling to get money. Many have lost their savings as grain traders experience falling prices to the scarcity.
Kasance a wannan waje tun karfe 5 na asuba kuma har yanzu ni ban samu namba na ba balatana ma a ce layi na yanzu.
I've been here since 5 a.m. but up to this moment I've not been issued a number, let alone joining the queue, because the rule here is that you must have a number first before joining the queue. I just need some cash to run my family.
Ya muna can wala saboda yanzu haka nan ko da abincinka ne ya gare a gida, even 5,000 zaka nema sai ka ca wala ta ka zo ka bi layi ko mara lafiya kake da shi.
We are facing a lot of problems. It is terrible because you have money but cannot access it. What type of policy is that? If, for instance, you run out of foodstuffs or come down with any health challenge, how will you address that?
But this group is in support of the CBN NAIRA redesign policy. Azik Balami, who is the convener of the Solidarity Walk, stressed the importance of a new NAIRA policy and has his support.
The issue of vote buying is a major problem. It has destroyed Nigeria. It has destroyed the entire continent. And enough is enough. What we are saying here now is we are aware that the Central Bank of Nigeria has released money to all the banks. All the banks have money. But politicians are buying this money from them at a higher cost, at black market rate, thereby frustrating the citizens to go against CBN, to go against the government. We are saying no.
A situation where you have 2.7 trillion naira outside of the banking system,
In the pockets of people.
held up in homes, at bunkers and everywhere, does not augur well for the Nigerian economy. And that is the major reason why this NAIRA redesign. And we are saying that these monies should come back to the votes of the CBN and also permit the banking system so that we will be able to control the money supply in the system and also make our monetary policy very effective. And that is what we are doing. We are fully persuaded that what we are doing is for the benefit of the Nigerian people. We are very, very apolitical. We do not belong to any political persuasion, but what we know is that this is not targeted at anybody.
State governors have called for extension of the old NAIRA circulation till end of the year, just as National Assembly has recommended 6-month extension. President Buhari will decide on the policy before the new deadline. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Yeah, and on today's topic of discussion, the Supreme Court has recognized Senate President Ahmad Lawan as the authentic candidate of the All Progressive Congress for Yobe North Senatorial District. The Apex Court's decision sacks Bashir Machina, who was earlier recognized by the Federal High Court in Damaturu, as well as the Court of Appeal in Abuja. The Apex Court's decision to sack Machina was earlier recognized, of course, by the court in Damaturu. And tonight on the program, we are joined by Barrister Sam Kagbo, a legal practitioner and a senior advocate of Nigeria. We also have Dr. Farouk Bibi Farouk, an expert in political economy from the University of Abuja, to discuss these very important topics, including the Abuna. Let's have a look at the report.
After the first sitting to deliberate and pass on the judgment, uncertainty reigned supreme as parties waited for the final pronouncement. After an hour of waiting, the court resumed sitting, and then Justice Santos Nweze, who read the lead judgment, held that the decisions of the Federal High Court in Yobe and the Court of Appeal in Abuja were perverse and must be set aside. Justice Santos Nweze faulted the approach of Bashir Machina in commencing the suit at the Federal High Court Damaturu Division through originating summons and without oral evidence to prove allegations of fraud. Outside the court, there were mixed feelings. None of the counsels in court felt the need to talk to media. However, some persons present in court broke the silence.
Alhamdulillah that today we are here at the Supreme Court having concluded the judgment between Ahmed Lawan and Bashir Machina. We are very happy that the judgment favored the Senate President, that by God's grace has now finally been delivered as the winner in this court. And by God's grace, we are gleefully going back to our Zansi, our constituency, to deliver him as the most successful candidate by 2023 elections.
Today we are very happy and satisfaction over the Lava victory. We are describing it as a political journey. This is a sign of rule of law. Thank you very much. We are very happy for that.
The aggrieved parties reserved comment as disappointment was written all over their face. The Supreme Court's decision puts to rest a legal battle that followed the ruling party's senatorial primary in Yobe North Senatorial District. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Yes, that was it at the Supreme Court. But reacting to the verdict, the Senate President Ahmed Lawal described the judgment as democracy at work. The Senate President, who also commended the appeals court, also noted that he never approached the court to seek redress. Rather, his party and other well-wishers from across the world made it happen. Let's hear him.
What happened was democracy at work, and the courts gave their various judgments, and of course the Supreme Court gave the final judgment. I want at this point to commend the Supreme Court and in fact the judiciary generally for making this kind of judgment to strengthen our democracy. Because it's not only for politicians to work and strengthen democracy, it's for all of us, and all the institutions have some roles to play. So I commend the Supreme Court and the judiciary in general. I didn't, as a person, as an individual, go to the Supreme Court to seek for a redress, but my party did, and my people, the people of Yobe North and Yobe State generally, and many political associates and well-wishers and supporters across the country and beyond, who showed interest that there has to be an appeal at the Supreme Court on this matter. So today, this victory is for all of us involved. I am the symbol, but the victory is for our party, the APC, and for democracy.
Well, that was Senate President Ahmed Lawal. As I said earlier in the program that we have Barrister Sam Kagmo, senior advocate of Nigeria, to actually shed light on some of these things. I will also have a political economist in the person of Dr. Bibi Farouk from the University of Abuja. Once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much
but
for
I'm
having
tempted, you can see two major issues. Maybe we have to share the time because Nigerians are out there growing. So maybe before we get to the subject matter of the day, I will have to maybe take your take on the happenings around the CBN. The governors, they went to the Supreme Court, not even the lower courts. Maybe I should start with Dr. Bibi Farouk before I get to the lawyer. Yes. Why do you think they went to court? Zamfara, Kogi, and Kaduna?
Well, for me, the entire drama is uncalled for, unnecessary, because there is nothing sufficiently important that will be achieved by putting deadline in the change of a currency, apart from chaos and waste of economy. When you can do this over a phased period of time, significantly, you see, I do not believe you can rule money out. You can just block money. You need to phase money, make people be able to realize the importance of dealing with money in a particular manner. Money is personal. Yeah. It's like coming to somebody's house and saying this is how he should treat his wife.
Wow.
Money is a property that you have already earned, and the government is deciding that this is how it wants it to happen.
How you should spend your money.
How you should spend your money.
How you should access it.
Yes, of course there are better ways. Nobody is against cashless policy. But I think this is the first time in the history of the world where these deadlines are put on an economy. Maybe the second time India tried something similar on some two versions of their currency.
And we actually
it was
did a serious story on Sunday,
yes.
in our paper,
it was a disaster.
On how other countries, because India didn't get it right.
Didn't get it right. So I do not, it's uncalled for. Why put the deadline? Why? Why not, you can introduce a change on a currency. Why target it towards politics? Do you think that you can take a political, an economic decision about your country and put it on top of a political decision of political parties? And you think that your vision is for the economy? The vision is just for the parties and for the drama that is happening for elections.
So as a teacher of political economy, meaning is shambles?
Yes, it has always been. I've always argued there is no need. There is need for cashless economy, but there is no need for deadline. And there is no need to target that policy towards politics. Even if it is going to affect politics positively, your aim is the economy, the long-term economy. So the target, this policy is about 2023 February election that we're waiting for. It has always been about that. That's what the president said. That's why he didn't consult anybody. That's why only him and the central bank governor talked about it. And the objective is there will be no money to conduct, to buy votes. Votes are not bought only by money.
Okay, I will come to that. Barrister, let me have your take from the legal perspective. These governors that approach the Supreme Court, they didn't even go to state high court or federal high court. They went straight to the Supreme Court. Will it actually yield any result?
No, I can't answer it that way. The only thing I would say is that my guess is that they assume that they have a dispute with the federal government over the policy of the central government. The law says if there is a dispute between the state and the federal government, the court that has original jurisdiction over that dispute is the Supreme Court.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, so this is where they are coming from.
This is
because many Nigerians are asking that maybe they are jumping the gun.
No, they are not. They are not. No, that's their assumption. But my thought is that the central bank, the federal government, yes, it's an agency of the federal government, but the law that establishes it, it gives it some independence and gives it the power to regulate the money in a manner that would enhance both economic activity and economic development, not to retard the economy like the economist has told us, I think so. But I think why they may be justified or why they have that conclusion It's because of Mr. President's statement, giving himself the credit for the policy. And we've also seen the unheard of situation where the central bank governor would pick up a flight, fly to Daura,
yes,
to meet Mr. President, to seek his authorization to do what he wants to do. So if the matter goes to court, it will be difficult for the federal government to say, oh, no, that's not my policy. It's the central bank's policy.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking aloud.
Yeah,
Assuming I am representing
yes,
the governors, I'm going to say, oh, no, you cannot. You've told us. I have evidence where you said that is your own policy. That's a tool you want to use to fight electoral corruption.
Yes.
And the central bank is just what? Acting on your own
directive,
bidding.
yeah. Because today I've seen, you know...
and the state governors have said, your policy is not affecting us as the elite, but you're killing our people.
Oh my God.
And mind you, the, what would they call it now? The duty to protect the people in the state is that of the governors.
So they have locus.
You cannot say they don't have a locus. They do. You understand? They do.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just talking tentatively.
Exactly, yes.
But let me come back now on my thoughts.
Yes.
Never in my 60-something years have I even heard of this bizarre and ridiculous sort of a policy.
Wow.
You think overnight you can kill the economy to kill political corruption. That means you don't even know what you're doing.
Killing.
You kill the economy to kill political corruption. That gives me the impression that you have no idea about how corruption works. You have no idea as to how elections are manipulated by money. You don't have an idea. You think it's a matter of what? People going to start buying votes on the queue. The votes are bought overnight.
Okay.
And Wike made that point that, do you know how this is done? You understand?
Yes.
And he caught my attention there because he is right. You have what they call people who produce bank votes, who produce the numbers. Those are the people you give the money. How do you mobilize people to the rallies? The rallies are being mobilized with money.
He was even in Katsina today.
No, those rallies, all the rallies you are seeing all over the country are mobilized with money. Do you think it is the candidate that goes and give those people money individually? It's individuals who are masters of the game that you give the money to and they do the job. It's the same way money is going to play at the elections.
If I get you, you are trying to say that what the president and the CBN did will not stop.
Oh, no, sorry, let me not use the word, but it's ridiculous. It cannot and will not in any way. What I am saying, their policy, their thoughts betray a lack of understanding of the DNA of corruption and how it was in relation to elections.
I can see Dr. smiling.
You understand?
Maybe you have something to add to what Barrister said.
Well, what is there to add? The policy, like I said, is uncalled for. Should not be targeted at politics or political activity, because the economy is bigger than that. You don't destroy the lives of people because of one-day activity in a political. You can make a policy that will have an ultimate aim of reducing these things. So, I've seen crazy things like going to the convention, election convention, looking for dollars on the field. We have seen this government.
They were there. The dollars will not be there. You don't
understand. Or you are trying to be ridiculous because you have paid dollars too, and you know how you paid the dollars. Some can even go to FCC and collect their dollars. You don't know.
Oh my
this
God.
political system.
This evening, before we
protected.
We started this program, now we heard of another case instituted by, in fact, they have even gotten, a verdict from a high court here. 4 political parties: Action Alliance, Allied People's Movement, National Rescue Movement, and Action People's Party, APP. They have secured a judgment from an FCT High Court here. A federal high court sitting in the federal capital, that nobody should dare stop the stoppage of
it has become political. It has become political, and we will pay the economic price. That's the problem.
You know what will give
people are being ruined by the hour.
So what will give it that name political? We'll give it some respectability. But I think it's been trivialized.
Okay.
It's been trivialized, and my understanding of the principles of law, both the substantive and adjectival, would say that you don't, as a court, allow yourself to be ridiculed by acting in vain and dishing out orders that you know will not be acted upon.
Okay.
And also, if the case had gone to the Supreme Court on the same issue, the Supreme Court is the apex court. If I were the judge,
yes, at the Federal High Court, yes.
No. The Baba upstairs is already handling this matter.
Aha.
Let us
as a mark of respect.
No, not as a mark of duty.
Okay, mark of duty.
As a mark of duty.
He shouldn't have even entertained
so that
the
it
case.
does not become a kind of a judicial impertinence, because what if the order from the Supreme Court is against your own order? Which one do you think matters? So why belabor yourself when you know the matter is already before the Supreme Court? And in any case, irrespective of the way you count it or the questions you ask, the issue comes to whether or not the policy can be stopped.
Yeah,
Doctor, or can be suspended.
Yeah, these things happen within hours. Governors going to the Supreme Court, and then these political parties going to Federal High Court within hours in one day. Who are actually behind this?
So that's it. That's when you start suspecting a conspiracy. Something might be happening. The commotion is almost deliberate.
To muddle the water.
Exactly. Because you can't. In Nigeria, when you see certain people coming out to demonstrate for or against, as you have seen, and you see the character of the people, paid demonstrators.
Yeah.
And then when you see paid demonstrators, you begin to wonder for what purposes, by whom, to achieve what. Is it local internal party in government? Why is it happening? Because certainly, within the ruling party, there are people that are looking at it as an attempt on them, on their effort to win elections. And there are people who are also fighting back that no, it's a government policy that must. Then you find neutral people coming from somewhere, really paid people, normal acquired crowds coming out to say they have a position. And this has been happening from day one on the CBN governors issues.
Yes.
Going to court and so on. You see press conferences by groups that you have never heard of.
Yes.
Set up and pay every media outlet and have live programs. So something, yes, and that thing is paid for. So where is the resources coming from? Who is directing it? Then you start to wonder where there is a conspiracy somewhere and what that conspiracy is. I honestly am scared of.
Son, in your estimation, where are we heading to with what is happening? Because this afternoon...
We would not go where they want us to go.
Okay, where do you want us to go?
Survive, and Nigeria will shame them. You understand?
You think they're heading somewhere?
They want us to head somewhere, and
like where, son?
You see, I don't want to be quoted. I wish you had asked me this question off
the record.
Yeah, no,
but Nigerians are really watching.
No, let them watch. They all know what is happening here.
Okay.
You see, talking seriously now, if you allow me to say what I want to say, I would say so.
Please
believe me, I have my serious doubt as to who the central bank governor is working for. Definitely not for Nigerians. Definitely he has no interest but the survival and the development of the economy. Under his word, the Naira is slipping by the minute. Instead of him to focus on that, he's making nonsense of it. Now what he even have is Naira to Naira sort of exchange rate.
Yes.
For the first time in
Nigeria,
my life, I am seeing that under the watch of somebody who calls himself a bank governor, who is a known politician, who has attempted to participate, who even participated in a primary, and had the audacity to go to court to hold the hands of government not to be sacked for leaving his office to dabble into politics, who has bought thousands of cars in what? In promotion of his political ambition. That is the same person who would tell you that within a month he can curb corruption by changing the money and telling you what to earn, what to have as cash. In an environment where the e-money transaction, the platforms, are ineffective. Even when you just have a sizable number of us on those platforms, you know what it takes for you to make a transfer. So much so that people don't even trust the transfer. The reason why people are keeping money is just because they don't believe in the system. And now you are now saying, let everybody go there. As effective as you think these internet providers are, if you now force and say, let every Nigerian be on them, they will collapse.
In fact, they did a few days ago.
They will collapse. And that's what is happening here.
Actually, it's against our internal security.
It's against the interest.
To even allow those foreign networks to carry our cash transactions. We should have built our own backbone.
One of our reporters that we asked to go to Kano to cover the mock Beavers, trial, accreditation, he came back thirsty because he had money in his account. He was just able to pay for the transport, but from Kano to Abuja, he could not take water because people are not even aware. He begged some people to even help him actually connect with their robust internet so that he could transfer money to water vendors. They don't trust him. Some were saying that he will hack
their accounts.
It's a serious thing. But today, maybe finally on this, Najaa to accuse the wife of the president as being one of the cabals because her brother is actually superintending over the minting and printing, and they are not printing the money. So who is actually deceiving who in Nigeria?
No, I don't think they intended to print so much money. The idea was they would have some money circulating. Suddenly, everybody would just use the electronic method. Suddenly, instead of, that's why I say you can phase people into that. And even data coming out tells us that compared to other countries, the circulation of money and our GDP is still very low. So it's just a policy aimed at politics, not aimed at the economy. But it will damage the economy, damage people and their lives, just to achieve a political objective that does not even have any meaning. Because if you want to fight vote buying, it's like I said, it's a cultural thing. When our leaders, right from independence, were telling us collect their money and vote your conscience, it was a mistake. We need to start from there. Because once you collect somebody's money, you lose your conscience. Even if you don't vote for that person, you don't stop that person from rigging because you have ate his money. So we would have started from making it anybody who brings money to you is insulting your integrity, your family name, your reputation. So take it up with him, go to the police station. But we're not doing that. We're saying that we'll go and block the money.
So sadly, meaning we will continue to witness this confusion.
I hope I just hope that we have a government, a succeeding government that will be attentive to the needs of the people and not be distracted by clowns around the presidency who don't have any interest in what happens outside their cuckoo.
Thank you very much. Viewers, we will go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Haruna, Bisi, Akman, Unduka, how will I want to do on election day? On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu. On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
People of Nigeria, make we all come out on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as president. Make Nigeria for better. Make you put your hand for APC, the party where show broom. Not forget now broom you go put your hand in. Bam!
On election day, I go take my PVC. When I reach where I vote to, I broom I go put my hand for Tinubu.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and you can follow our conversation across all our platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and join us live on YouTube. I still have Dr. Obidi Farouk, political economist from University of Abuja, and Barrister Sam Kagbo, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I'm compelled to draw curtain on the CBN issue, and we will now move to the Supreme Court judgment. This time around, I will start with you. What caught my attention actually was a technicality, I think, that was used by the Supreme Court. It held that the case was wrongly instituted via originating summons instead of writ of summons. As a layman, millions of Nigerians are actually laymen. Doctor, I can see you did like Maybe you will sort it out for us, writ of summon and...
You know, it is not just about laymen. Even our colleagues who are lawyers, but into some other fields, who are not practicing. Some of them will be professors of law, some of them would be big men somewhere, are confounded by what we call the adjectival aspect of, which is the procedural aspect of the law.
Okay.
You see, most times, that is where we lose the public. You know, the law says there are modes of commencing disputes, cases in court. And for each case, it has its own category or mode by which it can be commenced. And the originating summons is meant for basically non-contentious matter, like the interpretation of a document or a statute. There is no dispute at all about the facts. It's just for the court to go and make a determination to say, by virtue of this law, for an example, or by virtue of this document, who do you think should be this? You understand? But when you go beyond that and you introduce an element that requires proof, you take it out of the domain of an originating summons. An originating summons is simply you ask question to the court and you ask for reliefs based on the questions that you ask by an application, then you support it with an affidavit. Simple. And sometimes, if the other party responds and he does not make any objection to that one, but within one sitting, the case is
decided.
No, the case is what? Fought.
Okay.
And led for the court to decide. As against the one whereby you have to call witnesses, one witness after the other, you call your own, you open your case, call your own witnesses, you close your case, the other person also would now come and open his defense and call his own witnesses. Let me make this point, the conclusion that I want to make. The court did not decide the merit. The court did not.
The Supreme Court.
No, it did not go into the merit of whether or not
Machina
or this person was supposed to be.
Okay.
Mind you, Lawan's name was submitted to INEC instead of Machina.
Yes.
Machina now went to court challenging that act of his party, submitting the name of the Senate president instead of his name, because he felt he won
the primary.
Forget about the argument that, yes, they nullify his primary and
conducted another one.
That is going into the merit of the case. I'm just telling you what happens here. So he challenged the submission of that name with the case. And that complaint has to be done within a given time. No matter how wrongful it is, no matter how brazen it is, it has to be done within a frame of time, 14 days. And he now went to court. The trial court found for him to say, oh no, you couldn't have rightfully conduct the second primary when this person won the first primary. Because by virtue of his winning and by virtue of Section 84 of the Electoral Act, you are bound to submit his name. They found for him. The Court of Appeal confirmed that judgment and also found for him. But they ignore the mode by which he brought his case. And most times, I pity the litigants. You give your case to the lawyers. The lawyers, sometimes, some of them, they overtalk, forgetting the fact that he who alleges must prove.
Okay.
That is what they call standard of proof. The burden of proof, you who alleges must prove. And the standard of proof, if your complaint is purely civil, is by what? Balance of convenience. But if you introduce a criminal element or a criminal allegation, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt. So when you start of course, if you characterize what they've done, it's fraudulent, isn't it? Somebody has won and you go there. But an experienced lawyer will say, I don't want to go there. All I want the court to determine is whether or not the second primary would displace the first one.
All right.
You understand?
Yeah.
I would ask that question simply.
And they couldn't do that.
You understand?
Yes.
I would not go into making wild allegation, oh, it was fraudulent. Once you say it's fraudulent, the rules...
You have to prove.
You have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And you cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt on an affidavit or in an affidavit.
Wow.
Evidence.
It's highly technical.
So you have to call oral evidence. And for you to call oral evidence, it has to be by a writ of summons.
Oh.
It has to be a writ of summons.
Not
not an originating summons. Yeah, but usually the rules of court gives the court the power to say, from what I see here, there is an aspect of it that will require oral evidence and order for pleadings. So if the court ignores it, it's at your own peril. So usually you, the litigant, if you ask around, somebody will tell you, that issue, you either go and withdraw it or you ask for pleadings. Okay. If you don't ask for pleadings and you go irrespective of how beautiful the proceedings are, irrespective of how cogent your case is,
yes,
all efforts are in vain. Because what? The court will be acting without jurisdiction.
Aha. I will come to political aspect of it, but I want you to give two answers now in brief.
Yes.
Machina was most likely knocked out on technical grounds.
I don't call it, it's a procedural distance. What I'm saying is technical, yes, call it technical, but the issue is on the manner, the way a manner he commenced his case.
Okay, finally, from your side.
He should have, the court, the Supreme Court, and in any case, it is not his case.
Error.
No, there were precedents over that.
Okay.
So many people, let me explain this point. The Federal High Court practice direction had directed that everybody should start their cases by originating summons to fast-track the process. Because there is a time bound within which they have to conclude pre-election cases. But Court of Appeal, Supreme Court now said, no, you cannot use a practice direction to override standard principles of law or statutory provision. So all cases that make allegations of fraud, and those cases were all over the place. An attentive lawyer would have picked on that and said, oh, let me, now that I have done this mistake, I will go and make an application for the court to order for pleadings. A friend of mine in Gombe, he had the similar case, and we discussed why it's in a forum, and they went to go and make an application for the court to order pleadings, and the court ordered pleadings. But in this case, they did not. And because it's a fundamental thing, it nullifies all the processes. So having been nullified, there is no longer a case or a challenge to Lawan's nomination.
Wow.
So his name, by law, still stands. And therefore, irrespective of the fact that it did not challenge, doesn't matter. The party that presented him has the locals, and he has challenged that and defended that presentation. And since this man's case cannot get the order to nullify that presentation, that's where he now comes in and say, oh, I am the benefactor of this order.
All right, barrister. Doctor, what is your take on this from the political perspective? Because actually, in the APC in Abuja said the primary conducted on May 28th was a nullity because it was conducted by someone who was not mandated by the party. This was what the party's lawyer, Sepiro Peter, said. But Machina, when he went to High Court in Damaturu, he actually said there was no second primary, that only the first one. So in democracy, political parties can nullify and can conduct another primary?
There were a lot of efforts to address this power of the party to change candidates at will. In fact, most of the Electoral Act as it is today looked at those because the members of the National Assembly had been victims over time when chairmen and secretaries of the parties can just write INEC and decide to nominate other people. And I thought we had passed that level. Now, I think it is the judiciary that is nominating candidates for themselves, for the parties. Judiciary has more governors than political parties, I think.
That's unfair.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Look at Zamfara, look at Imo, look at places where the people have voted, put in their vote, decided a mandate. And the judiciary has looked at that mandate and looked at procedures and technicalities and zeroed those mandates and given to people who have come 6th, 4th, or maybe have not even contested.
You think this is what happened?
So we are going into judicial anarchy, and I think judges should take note of it.
We have a son by your side.
But they should take note. Because everything he said now makes judicial technical meaning. It doesn't make meaning to the person seeking for justice. Where is the justice? If you are marking a script in law school, yes, you have an A with your explanation. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not looking for your technicalities. Look at the justice in it. Even if you know all the technicalities, if a mechanic takes your car and decides, okay, this is the problem, you will not argue with him. You expect him to solve the problem because you might not have the experience or the knowledge. What you want is a repaired vehicle.
But the son said
went to courts
are not just for Christmas, right?
They
only give you what you ask.
They only give you what you ask. Now, you came to ask for justice. Now, they said the process in which you came to ask for justice is invalid. Is invalid.
And
so therefore, you lose that justice. If the Supreme Court says go back and start the process all over again, then there will be element of some fairness because it is the judicial process, not the not justice of an individual.
But don't you think
that is
assuming political parties are doing?
The only thing that this judgment does is to increase the volumes of literature for lawyers to study. But the person who has been injured remains injured.
But
that is injustice.
Don't you think political parties are actually creating these problems for themselves?
No.
Because the 9th June,
responsibility of democracy
in
is beyond.
The High Court said there wasn't anything on 9th June.
That is it.
To actually warrant submitting the name of the Senate President.
Senate President.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that he did not contest. He was contesting. There was a timetable that had limits. There was a limit of time in which you submitted your forms. He did not contest in that election. He contested in the presidential election. It is after he lost the presidential election that the party now decided that it had conducted another primaries. With whom? The person who had won that primaries, and there was no evidence, as argued by them, of even cancellation of the 28th election. There was no evidence that the party
cancelled a salvo at San.
No, there was no evidence.
I want him to respond. But
the only evidence was that a new name has been
while
submitted.
You answer the salvo he fired at you. That what is the provision of the Electoral Act in respect to candidates vying for 2 offices during the same election season?
You know, we've answered these questions here over and over. It's the issue of the morality of this.
Yes.
If we have time, we can go into it. But for now, let me talk about what the law is.
Okay.
You see, the continental system or the civil system that is practiced in the majority of countries, I think the adversarial system is just about how many countries? About 51 countries that are practicing it. The rest of the world is doing something else. In that case, the judge is not a blind administrator or assessor of the dispute. He is out to look for the truth and justice.
Okay.
So he can ignore all of this and go into the truthiness of what you are contesting. But here is an adversarial system.
Wow.
And until you change it, you would continue to blame the judiciary wrongfully.
Okay.
They cannot make the law. They cannot change the rules.
They follow procedures.
The procedure, they are bound by law to follow the procedure. Sometimes you see them agonizing. They will give you a hint, but some lawyers are heady.
Yeah.
They know too much.
Okay, they will not actually...
like this particular case, there are precedents already that tells you that if you include allegations of fraud, you must... the court should order pleadings, or you request the court. You make an application for the court to allow you to make pleadings.
We have just 2 minutes, but I want to have your take.
But here, that's what I'm saying.
Finally,
what I'm saying on this, the court did not go into the merit. When I say it did not go into the issues as to whether or not Martina was right, as to whether or not there was a first primary or second primary. It did not, and it couldn't have gone into it because the foundation itself, which is the jurisdiction, before a court can decide anything, it must have the power to decide it. For an example, the Constitution has given certain courts to try election petitions, to say these are tribunals that say the ordinary courts cannot. The presidential election is a court of appeal, Sharia courts. So every court has its own jurisdiction. Their powers and jurisdiction, they are not at large. And so if the the rules of court have told you that these are the only cases by which you can commence by originating summons. They cannot, on the basis of you talking about the morality of the case, forget about that, that's technicality. No, they will be rewriting the law.
Okay, finally, just in 10 seconds, that is the end of the case now?
Of course.
Nothing will happen?
Nothing. All issues concerning that primary are dead, because the time for you to institute against them, against Lawan,
it's over.
It's all over.
Okay, finally from you, I wish we have time. How can we, just in 10 seconds or thereabout, how can we actually allow politicians to decide for themselves instead of court deciding?
I think all stakeholders in a society that are doing democracy should try to protect democracy, no matter what the laws say. Because democracy itself, it's a very perilous thing. You have to build it. People who brought democracy to us, Socrates, for example, told us that it will dissolve into anarchy if we allow it. You know, that it will be a rule of crooks, criminals, and mobs who will run according to their base interest, and they will manipulate the people. So it is something we have to protect. It is not something that
and it's the responsibility of all tiers of government, citizens, and all that.
And order.
I think we have to.
But
rule of law must be allowed to prevail.
Basically, the lawmaker.
All right. Okay. I think we will have to come back and build on where we will stop now. We are compelled to draw the curtain here. I thank you very much, Barrister Sam Kagbo, for your informed perspective from the legal angle. You have unraveled all the technicalities, and I hope our viewers understood what you said and they will make sense out of it. Doctor, I can see you are so angry that politicians allow the courts to decide. I hope they will learn lesson from that. Thank you, Dr. Bibi Farouk, from the University of Abuja, for coming to the program. Viewers, this is where we come to the end of the program, which we hope you enjoyed. Join us again for another interesting package. For now, thank you very much. I'm Hamza Idris.